As Rusty and his driver had hoped, the weather had greatly improved from yesterday, and the sun shone above them. The quarry was now filled with more machines, including Thumper, who was working harder than ever. Rusty was working some distance from all the noise and dust the machines were making, and was actually near the boulder. He soon realized that probably wasn't the best idea. As he began to move away, he noticed something in the corner of his eye. There was a small rock slide on the side of the mountain next to him. None of the machines were close by, so they couldn't be the cause. He then looked up.
The boulder's moving.
Don't be so daft. It can't.
But it could, and it did. It went over the edge and crashed to the ground in front of the little diesel, who felt like a small rat compared to its scale. Rusty began to back away in intense fear, but the boulder seemed to have other ideas.
It's rolling along our line.
Rusty tooted his horn loudly to get the miners' attention. They looked away from their work and were horrified at the sight, but were too far away to be of any help. Rusty hurried down the mountain away from the quarry. Boulder wasn't far behind, as the ground constantly shuddered as if there was an earthquake. Suddenly, just ahead, the driver saw a set of points, with one line being a siding. They reached it just in time, and Boulder thundered by. Rusty was relieved both he and his driver survived, but he knew it wasn't over.
If we heard it crossing Carwin, we can phone the yards and warn them. Let's hope there are no more engines in its path.
Meanwhile, Skarloey was making his way up to the quarry with some mining equipment. Or at least, that was the plan. Then, he heard a strange rumbling sound in the distance. Before he could do or say anything, Boulder came into view and charged towards the little engine.
Yikes!
He shouted as he shot backwards away from the boulder. The trucks saw it too and were horrified. On! On! Bump him! Bump him! Make him go faster! Make him go faster! They yelled. With this surprising encouragement, Skarloey was able to reach a high speed, but Boulder was catching up to them fast. As they approached Krasny Kurin, a signalman diverted them into a siding. Boulder destroyed a water tower as it flew by and nearly hit the station platform. The passengers were not hurt, but were shocked and shaken. So were Skarloey and the trucks. Just then, Rusty hurried in, concerned at what he saw.
Skarloey?
I'm fine, but we must warn the yards.
Quickly, their drivers rushed into the station.
Do you know if any other engines are coming up the line?
Skarloey was about to reply, but then froze and gasped.
Rheneas! He said he was coming up earlier. He could... We have to go now!
Rheneas was coming up the line with Agnes, one of the railway's coaches, filled with workmen. She was the only coach available and wasn't happy.
I'm a first-class coach, not an affiliate important works band,
she complained. Rheneas sighed. He was annoyed, as he hadn't had a chance to speak with the Fin controller. Suddenly, he heard a rumbling sound from up ahead.
I said, what's that?
Then, Boulder hurried round the bend towards them. Rheneas couldn't believe it.
It can't be! It's running loose! Yikes!
His driver drove him back as fast as he could, while Agnes wailed frantically. However, his speed couldn't outrun the large rock monster that gained on them. As he was sure he was about to get crushed, he felt a large bump and found himself leaving the rails and resting on the ground, inches from the boulder as it went past.
I knew there was something wrong with these tracks, though I didn't think they would save us.
Some of the workmen were injured after being jolted from their seats during the derailment, but realized it could have been much worse. Agnes, on the other hand, was very upset. Some ballast had flew off the ground when Boulder came into contact with it, and had hit her windows.
I feel so smashed. I feel so smashed.
Rather a smash than a squash.
Meanwhile, at the yards, Sir Handel and Duncan were arranging trucks of stone for Donald's train.
Does that diesel of yours still believe there's some living boulder at the quarry?
I tried to snap him out of it, but he's still convinced.
I have to give him credit, though, for being able to put up with all this dusty, dirty work.
Just then, the sound of something big coming their way could be heard.
What on earth was that?
This question was soon answered, as there, charging towards them, was the boulder.
Oh my god! Can't be!
Donald quickly moved to a safe distance, and so did the workmen, but Sir Handel and Duncan were still in the sidings and could only go forwards. If they did that, they would run into the exact thing they wanted to get away from. The two engines were trapped and couldn't bear to look at what was approaching them. They closed their eyes tightly. After hearing a crash and an explosion, but feeling nothing, Duncan and Sir Handel opened their frightened eyes. They saw that the boulder had aimed for the engine shed, which was now nothing more but rubble and engulfed in flames.
How did the fire start?
I don't know. There wasn't any fuel or dynamite in there. Surely the boulder didn't cause it, right?
No one had an answer.